Okay, everybody must know this. It's in regards to where the notion of heaven and hell comes from, the meaning of heaven and the meaning of hell. Well, I've explained in other videos that the meaning of heaven and hell can be explained in one sentence. In respect to a maintained garden equaling heaven, whereas an unmaintained garden equaling hell. You see, all that's required is a simple maintenance job or duty, as it were. Thus you take care of the earth and then you gain the heaven, okay? And that heaven is the meaning of life. That's the meaning people are meant to be living for, but they're not. Why? Because they're under the notion that first they have to die to live, which is the wrong way around. First you live and then you die. Okay, so first you live and then you die, and that's it. So, it pays to have some gratitude. That word comes up. Having gratitude while you're living so that you can attain something. Because if all you're on about is going somewhere after you die, you're not going to care about the life that is here, okay, to be lived. Okay, so that's the first thing, the meaning of heaven and hell. Now, what about it? Where does it come from? Well, have you ever noticed when people, they think about heaven, they look up at the sky. They look up, okay? And when hell is mentioned, people look down. They look down. So the notion is that heaven is above and hell is below on the ground, right? So where does this come from? I'll tell you where it comes from, okay? I'll tell you where it comes from. It's divine knowledge right here, okay? Okay, I've put videos before on incineration. To incinerate the rotting things, the decaying things, because if you don't incinerate them, they stay on the ground, and that is where hell is. That's why you look down. That's why you look down, and that's the hell, because that is what curses you, okay? Whereas when you begin incinerating those rotten things, okay, you incinerate it in a clean area away from the living things, firstly. So you gather it and you incinerate. When you incinerate those decaying, those rotting things, it becomes H2O. The H2O, it evaporates, it goes up to the sky, okay? Up to the sky to rain. It becomes pure H2O, and then it rains, and then the trees, the branches grow back again. You get ample provision of the rainfall. Okay, the decay is gone. People can thus be free. The grass can grow. It doesn't get destroyed. There's no tips anywhere. There's no stinking, rotting smell. So that is where the notion of heaven and hell comes from. That is where it comes from. That is why people look up to the heaven. That is why people look down when they think about hell, when they hear about hell. Okay? So you think about, how do I know that? How do I know this? You might be asking, how do I know this? Well, it has to do with the time frame. So there's a time frame. Okay? There's a time where the bad things are prevalent on the earth, and that decaying and those rotting things are the majority, is what's out there the most. And the only way that the heaven can be attained is when those things are incinerated, they're gathered properly, and becomes H2O, and then you're getting of the heaven. That's overcoming the evil, okay? Because if there's a period where it's always bad, where it's always evil for so long, surely there has to be a period where it goes away, okay? And that's it, all right? It has to. There has to be a period where it goes away for the good to be. It's only fair, okay? And when you think about it, see, this is what conclusion, the realization I've come to in 2012. So that's about 13 years now. Since then, I've been building the picture of heaven. What the job is to heaven. What sort of things must there be to amount to that state where things are perfect, that perfection. And then that incineration was one of those things which I've realised along the way. And I'm only putting these videos out here because now I'm at the end of knowing everything here to put the knowledge out for people here to listen, okay, to see these videos, okay. Now these are only small videos to begin with, okay, and I'm not expecting many views now, but soon I'm going to be, okay, and there's going to be a lot, okay. So I need to get everybody on this level about knowing what is, okay, because I have the want to live at least a good 30 years of enjoying the heaven before I pass away, okay. Before I go, I have the want to experience that, to live it before I go, so that I die of natural causes peacefully in a place where I know my corpse can be taken care of and incinerated when I'm gone. No ashes either. You know, if it's incinerated at a heat that's high enough, it doesn't leave ashes, which is what I've heard. Even the elements, they evaporate. Okay, so, but if not, unless it's not, then ashes spread out on the earth is only a tiny little bit of fraction of what the garbage and the decay is. You imagine a ton of decay, you only get a tiny bit of ash. If you spread that out evenly across the earth, it's nothing. Okay, so yeah, just think about that. That's one of the duties of heaven is incineration. It has to be. It has to, or else the rotting things are going to be around and people are going to continue looking down and being down-faced with depression and trauma, and they're not going to have the want to live, and there's going to be this suicide. And I went through it. If I had known that back then, I wouldn't went through it. But this is what I've come to know because I've been through that, and I've asked the answers to know about it, and I'm putting it out there because I don't want other people to suffer as I have suffered, first of all. Second of all, I want to fucking heaven. I want to live, on a place where all that's done and the earth is, all the grass is mowed, all the branches and leaves are gathered and picked up for that incineration, for that specific duty, okay? So, again, I'll keep it short. So that's why people look up, okay? That's where it comes from. It comes from that knowledge. You look up, that's what happens. It's evaporation. Things must come back again. That is the heaven. That is the cycle. There's no straight line that goes forever and ever. No, there's a cycle. There's a time frame. Okay, there's a good and there's a bad. All right. It's the supreme ultimate. Okay. Sometimes it's mistranslated as the yin and the yang. Well, it's not the yin and the yang. You know what yin and yang is? That's Chinese for man and woman. Okay, man and woman aren't good and bad. Okay, there's good and bad, and there is man and woman, but they're two things altogether. See, man and woman, that makes one person. On the bad era, they're apart. Okay, they're not